Kia ora students, this tutorial is going to be about slow motion and fast motion across all three films. So here I've got the posters for you in chronological order. We've got Strictly Ballroom there on the left. As you can see though, the poster was actually made after Moulin Rouge was even made, because it says from Baz Luhrmann, the director of Moulin Rouge. That's probably his most famous one. And down the bottom it says, the movie musical may not have been dead after all. That's from a movie reviewer. The middle one there, Romeo and Juliet, from the visionary director of Moulin Rouge. Again, Romeo and Juliet was actually made before Moulin Rouge. And then the last one from visionary director Baz Luhrmann, Nicole Kidman, Ewan McGregor, Moulin Rouge. And then it says down the bottom, truth, beauty, freedom, love. So obviously those are the four themes of that film. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you little segments of the film. So this whole set of tutorials is probably going to be broken up into three different parts, one for each film, because I have to take the DVDs out and put them back in. So just bear with me if there's any pauses, that kind of thing. That means that I've probably actually paused the recording so that I can find my next position. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the actual very opening of Strictly Ballroom, and you'll see the use of slow motion. So I'm going to play this little bit and then I'll talk about it. Also, I apologise if the speakers aren't right, because I'm recording the sound coming out of the computer, if you know what I mean. It's not just recording it straight internally. Okay, so up until now, everything has actually been in slow motion, apart from perhaps the little moments where the women are all adjusting the men, like where she is getting rid of the dust off Scott's jacket and the bow tie is being adjusted. That may be in real time. But other than that, it's all been in slow-mo. And in actual fact, the music has been added over top later, so remember that's non-diegetic, as has the sound of the crowd. So what you need to do is, I would actually recommend going back and listening very carefully and working out, is the sound that we hear of the crowd actually, has that actually been slowed down? I would argue that it's just the image that's been slowed down. So it's almost like the sound has been taken and put over top of that. So again, non-diegetic. So this is like this real dreamy impression that we get of what's going on here. I think it's done for several reasons. It's to firstly to emphasize the glamour of ballroom dancing. It allows for visual things that are quite interesting, like the feathers, but also I think that in slowing it down, I do think that Baz Luhrmann is already mocking these dancers. They look kind of silly and they kind of look like dogs. Like the women look like sort of fluffy dogs, and it's kind of like at a dog show. like when the dog owners run their poodles or whatever around with their leads on. So right from the very beginning, it's all sort of like, yay, everybody's so happy and smiley, and oh, isn't this so exciting? And it's all just a little bit over the top. Okay, so now I'm going to show you another example of slow-mo that's used right towards the end of the film. So this is a very brief segment that I'm going to show you, but it really combines these elements of being very spectacular and using that slow motion. This character's name is Ken Railing, and he's not actually the focus of what we're about to look at, but I mean, this just sums him up really beautifully. So we're just watching about the next 10 seconds or so of that.
That's the future of dance sport, and no one's going to change that.
And that's it, because I don't want to ruin the end of the film for you. We will watch this from the beginning in class, and so this will all make a lot more sense. But that whole entry is done in slow-mo to make it really, really slick. It really reminds me of Tybalt's entrance in Romeo and Juliet. Even though the two characters are incredibly different, stylistically, Baz Luhrmann wants them to look very similar. Even look at those shoes that he's wearing, very similar to Tybalt's. The tight black pants and having those broad shoulders and that strong look about him, that is all very intentional. And the slow motion combines with that to show this character as a controlled, slick character. It's all really, really important and very intentional on Baz Luhrmann's part. Okay, that's it for Strictly Ballroom. So the next tutorial will look at slow motion and also fast motion used in Romeo and Juliet. Fast motion isn't actually used in Strictly Ballroom, at least not as far as I've noticed. It's a challenge for you to perhaps find it in there.